Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are taking a look at Man at Arms from the Netflix He-Man and the Masters of the Universe animated series. Okay, so I'm pretty stoked to have this action figure. I found it recently at one of my local Targets. My Target had a bunch of these figures, and when I say a bunch, they had at least 6. This was a figure I've been on the hunt for months. I think this figure initially came out with Wave 1, which included He-Man and Skeletor, but I've never seen this figure on the shelves. I don't know if he was actually like just distributed recently or if he was harder to find, months ago, but for whatever reason, I'm happy to have him now. It felt kind of odd having some of these other figures, but not having the Man at Arms, especially with Wave 1, because Wave 1 was very common. And then, a bunch of other figures would pop up, like Teela, Orko, and Trapjaw. But for whatever reason, I could never find Man at Arms. So I don't know if he was, just held back, or if he was, released in limited quantity, months ago, and it's just now that we're getting more of them. But either way, I'm stoked to have them. I love the design. It's very reminiscent of Samus from the Metroid video game. And I know for some people, with the new cartoon, this kind of re-envisioning of some of these characters might, bother some of the older fans. But I've given the new cartoon a shot. I'm maybe a little under halfway through it, and I've enjoyed what I've seen so far. And I really welcome this figure into my collection of He-Man figures. So let's get started. On the upper left, we have a close-up portrait of Duncan here. You can kind of make out his face under his helmet. We have Castle Grayskull. I really love the unique shape of the bubble design. It's kind of cool. I love how the logo is kind of coming at you. It's not actually on the card, but it's a separate piece. That's kind of neat. His power mace is this gigantic. Much like the other figures in the line, for his power attack, it's pretty much just a waist, spring-loaded waist swivel, which is it's a fun play feature. I dig it. On the back, just some fig photography. We have a nice shot of Duncan here. And then here's how to utilize his power attack right there. And like I said before, here's some of the other figures in the wave. There's He-Man and Skeletor. So I think he was initially part of Wave 1, but I could never find him. And for whatever reason, he's much more plentiful now. And I'm grateful for that. So let's get started. Alright, so first impressions of Man at Arms while he's in the tray. It looks great. I have to admit there is a flaw with mine. So the faceplate on my helmet, it's kind of scratched up. So it's kind of hard to see his face, unfortunately. And it looks like there's a paint blemish underneath the face covering also. I could live with that. To be honest, I actually have 2 of these action figures. And the nicer one I kept mint on card, but this one I took out because I might want to fiddle around with this. Possibly making a custom or even just maybe repainting it. Not 100% sure. I just like this costume design a lot. I think it's kind of cool. Alright, first up we have his power mace. Let's get this into focus. It's nice and cool. It's pretty big, kind of burly. The top of the mace is this gigantic blunt object with a bunch of pointy ridges. It's kind of like a clear, transparent blue. And it kind of has that studded design towards the middle, much like Man at Arms has on his shoulder pads. It's kind of like a gold-orange plastic. As for Man at Arms himself, Like I said, my helmet, it's kind of flawed. It's kind of scratched up, and if you look underneath, there's like a paint blemish underneath the helmet. But I don't mind. It doesn't bother me that much. I like this costume design a lot. Like I've stated before in the previous video where I reviewed the Sky Sled, you know, this design, especially the colors, it kind of reminds me of Samus from the Metroid Nintendo game. The sculpting's well done. You know, it's based off of a cartoon, so it's not like crazy detailed. The proportions aren't very realistic. It's a little bit more exaggerated. But it's a nice figure. You know, even though it has limited articulation, I think it's a very clean, well-engineered design. Alright, so here's a front view. It's kind of cool how his helmet's like see-through and you can see his face. Here's a profile view. Giant shoulder pad. Here's the view from the back. And then here's the other profile. Now, in terms of articulation, this guy is, you know, his head rotates. It's on a ball joint, I believe, so he could look forward, not so much up. He can kind of tilt his head down just a little bit. His arms are articulated, so they're going to rotate around. They don't go out. This one rotates also. No elbow articulation, unfortunately. There's no bicep swivel, but his wrists are articulated. I'm not sure if all the figures from this line have articulated wrists. Now that I think about it, maybe it's just this one. I might be wrong though. He has a spring-loaded torso for kind of like he can like throw punches, so he has like spring-loaded swivel motion. Much like all the other figures from this line. In terms of his leg articulation, he can kick up. Not so much, unfortunately. And he kind of kicks out just a little bit. But I think that's more so because, you know, this figure repainted came with a Sky Sled motorcycle. And speaking of the Sky Sled motorcycle, I actually have that figure on hand. Let me grab it real quick. So this is the Man-at-Arms figure that came with the Sky Sled motorcycle on the left here. Exact same figure. And just give me a second. I'm kind of... Alright, so yeah, their leg articulation's the same. They can both kind of kick out about this much. I believe the sculpts and molds are identical to both these figures. I think the only thing different is the color choices. In terms of the color scheme, I like this one a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think this one's great, but there's something about this color scheme here which I think is really eye-catching. And if you wanted to, if you used your imagination, you know, if you could probably buy one or two of the Sky Sled cycles and maybe use this guy as like a generic guard or something. But yeah, both awesome figures. You know, now depending on your fondness of the new show, if you already have this one and you're happy with it, I don't think this is necessarily a must purchase. But at the same time, if you don't have any Man-at-Arms figure, you know, you'd probably want to go for the one that's more accurate to the show, which is this guy. But I do like the color swap. This one looks pretty cool. And in terms of his mace, you know, unfortunately this guy doesn't come with a weapon. You know, he came with the motorcycle. But this guy does come with this mace, his power mace, and let's take a look at it. If I could get it in his hand. It's kind of a snug fit. There we go. Yeah, this is a really, really burly, blunt object. You know, I'm sure if you crack someone over the head with this, you know, chances are he'd probably murder the guy or gal. It looks cool. It looks awesome. I love how it's kind of like this transparent blue. It would be even more badass if this thing actually like lit up or something. I don't know if you can actually. I'm trying to see if you can remove this, because looking through the plastic, this thing does have a top to it. So yeah, I don't know if this thing comes off or not. It does rotate though. I'm not sure if that's meant to like rotate or what, but I don't know. It's still pretty neat. All right, so since we're on the subject of Man-at-Arms, if you're unfamiliar with the new character or the new cartoon show, I highly suggest you pick up this book. It's pretty cool. It's He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Heroes and Villains Guidebook. This is a Scholastic book, and if you're like me and you grew up in the United States, you might remember Scholastic. They always had the book fairs at your like local elementary school, and we'd always go in, you know, with like maybe like $10 and just leave with like a handful of books. This book is surprisingly meaty for being such a thin book. It's pretty much your guide to like the universe of this like new version of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. They cover all the different characters. They talk about their powers and all the world. It's pretty neat. And I think we're coming up to Man-at-Arms' page. Where is it? I think it's... Here we go. So yeah, here's the new Man-at-Arms. As you can see, the new toys, you know, it's not like 100% accurate, but it's almost there. You know, it's close enough. You know, this one's without doubt has a lot more detail and, you know, paint application. But for what you're getting for like a $9 toy, you know, it does a pretty good job of mimicking the actual cartoon model. So, and this is cool. It's kind of like a short bio on Man-at-Arms. You know, kind of talks about his powers, his weapons, a little back history, and, you know, his place on the TV show. It's kind of cool. So yeah, this is a great book. You know, it's only like $8.99. So hunt this down if you're into the new cartoon, or if you have a little one that's enjoying the cartoon. You know, you could get this book for them, and they'll probably like enjoy reading all about their favorite heroes and villains. Alright, so with that being said, I do recommend this figure. I think it's wonderful. I enjoy the new cartoon. I think it's great. I'm still a bigger fan of like the OG cartoon, but for the most part, I think it's a great envisioning of Masters of the Universe, and it doesn't negate, you know, what's already been established. It's just a different take for a much younger audience. And if this isn't your cup of tea, there's also Revelation, which I enjoyed also. Alright, so with that being said, once again, my name is Lou. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for continued likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I will see you at the next one. Alright, later.